Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Magic the Conversation. Today we are going to talk about the 23rd expansion known as Apocalypse. Apocalypse is the final culmination of the invasion block. We will find out what happens. Do the Dominarians survive the Phyrexian invasion? Where we last left off, Gerard and Urza ended up bowing down to Yawgmoth to join his forces. Yawgmoth promised Urza complete unity and to study Artifice, which Urza was obsessed with, and he also decided to tempt Gerard by bringing the love of Gerard's life back in resurrecting Hannah. However, Yawgmoth, in his twisted pleasure, decides that he only wants one champion, and he forces Gerard and Urza to fight in a duel with enchanted weapons. Urza is a planeswalker at this point, so he's almost a god. He's immortal, but Yawgmoth's weapons that he gives to Gerard even the playing field, and these weapons can actually kill or maim a planeswalker. Eventually, Gerard does get the better. He's just the better soldier in hand-to-hand combat, and Gerard ends up decapitating Urza, but Urza is not killed. His body cannot regenerate, but he, at this point, is just a talking head, kind of like how Deadpool was in a lot of the Deadpool comics. With that being said, Gerard ended up being the victor, and Yawgmoth promised him power and strength, but all Gerard requested was for Hannah to be resurrected. It is shown that Hannah is resurrected, but Gerard can see through Yawgmoth's disguise. It's just a clone that was Yawgmoth himself. And Gerard snaps out of the hypnosis that he was under, realizing that Yawgmoth cannot bring back the love of his life. So Gerard strikes out in anger. Yawgmoth is surprised by this and casts Gerard out of Phyrexia with Urza's head in tow. Now that the main heroes have seen the light and are no longer under Yawgmoth's will, they rejoin the battle. Yawgmoth instead ends up leaving Phyrexia, and he himself arrives on Dominaria in the form of a giant death cloud. The death cloud does kill a lot of the Dominarian armies that were fighting the Phyrexians, as well as a couple main characters themselves. The soul bombs that were previously left in the plane shift set that Urza was supposed to detonate, the remaining Titans do succeed in detonating that, crippling the plane of Phyrexia. But with Yawgmoth already on Dominaria, that didn't really do much. Eladamri, the Lord of Leaves, and Lyn Civi, the Rebel Commander, they see the death cloud on the horizon, and they don't want to give Yawgmoth the satisfaction of killing them, so they jump to their deaths. Gerard ends up fighting Crovax at the stronghold in Urborg. Gerard ends up besting Crovax in battle, killing him by stabbing him through the heart. Squee the Goblin, who is now immortal, or every time he dies, he just comes back to life, ends up accidentally killing Ertai by fidgeting with a rejuvenation chamber that Ertai would use to get stronger, and it ended up frying the Phyrexian wizard. When all seems lost because they tried all kinds of magic to stop Yawgmoth's death cloud, but nothing was working, Urza told the Weatherlight crew to take out his eyes, because his eyes were power stones, which were of Phyrexian nature, and place them into Karn the Silver Golem's chest. they ended up fusing the legacy weapon, the Weatherlight itself, the skyship. The crew flies it into Yawgmoth's death cloud. Karn, Urza, and Gerard are the only ones aboard. The rest of the Weatherlight crew abandons ship and stays behind. And as it collides with Yawgmoth's death cloud, there is a gigantic blast of light, and Yawgmoth is eradicated. This, however, also kills Gerard and Urza's head. After the culmination of this blast, it is found out that Karn the Silver Golem has developed an artificial planeswalker spark, making Karn a true planeswalker. They have a ceremony for all the fallen heroes that were in the Phyrexian War, and Dominaria is at peace at last. At least for now. The set came out in June 2001, and Dominaria, this is not the first casualty that this plane suffers. They went through the Brothers' War. That was the first calamity that they went through. Then from the Brothers' War was the Ice Age, and then the melting, where all the ice melted and thawed in most of the areas and caused a lot of geological upheaval. And then the Phyrexian invasion would be probably the big third calamity that has happened to this plane. But it's not the last, and we'll visit that in future sets. For now, we will go over the cards that appear in the Apocalypse set. First card is Aether Mutation. It is a 5-mana blue-green sorcery. Return target creature to its owner's hand. Put X 1/1 green sapling tokens into play, where X is the creature's converted mana cost. Definitely much better against larger creatures. The larger the creature that you return, or I should say the more expensive its mana cost, the more sapling tokens you get. It's not an instant, but it's still a decent card for green-blue. The artwork shows Multani turning a Phyrexian into saplings. Ana Disciple for 1 green wizard. Pay a blue, tap it, target creature gains flying until end of turn. Pay a black, tap it, target creature gets power -2 until end of turn. The blessings of Gaia alone are no longer enough. And it shows this little kid making a sapling fly. Ana Sanctuary. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control a blue or black permanent, target creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. If you control both a blue and a black permanent, that creature gets +5/+5 instead. So this will reward you for at least playing a blue-black-green deck. And a reoccurring theme in Apocalypse was the unification of enemy colors, where Planeshift was allied colors. Apocalypse is one of the first sets that cares about enemy colors. On Evolver, 4-mana 3/3. The double kickers are reoccurring in this set. It has kicker of blue and black. If you pay the blue kicker cost, an Evolver comes into play with 2 +1/+1 counters and has flying. If you paid the black kicker cost, it comes in play with a +1/+1 counter and has pay 3 life, regenerate, and Evolver. So in total, if you pay the mana cost of 4, and then the blue and the colors, so that would be 6. So for 7 mana total, you get a 6/6 flying with pay 3 life, regenerate. Pretty decent. Angelfire Crusader, 4-mana 2/3 soldier with fire breathing. Nothing burns hotter than the fires of holy rage. Battlefield Forge, an enemy color ping land. Taps for colors, or you could pay a red, or you get a red or a white, and you deal 1 damage to yourself. Bloodfire Colossus, 8-mana 6/6 giant. Pay a red, sacrifice it to deal 6 damage to all creatures and players. It took all its strength to contain the fire with and excuse me. And this giant is exploding. It's not going to be a happy day for anybody around it. Bloodfire Dwarf is a very small version of the Bloodfire Colossus. For 1 red, pay red, sacrifice it, deal 1 damage to each creature without flying. Oh, he doesn't even hit players. For them, the only honorable death is one that leaves a crater. Bloodfire Infusion can only enchant a creature that you control. Pay red, sacrifice enchanted creature. Bloodfire Infusion deals damage equal to its power to each creature. Bloodfire Kavu, 4 mana 2/2 Kavu with the Bloodfire ability, I'm going to call it. Pay a red, sacrifice it, deals 2 damage to each creature. Heart of Fire, Blood of Lava, Teeth of Stone. Bognar, 5 mana 2/2. The artwork looks really cool. Whenever a player plays a black spell, Bognar gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Not all of Dominaria's defenders were nourished by the light. As cool as the artwork is, the card is just bad because it only gets +2/+2 until end of turn. If you're going to be attacking with it, if the opponent doesn't play any black instants, then it's never going to get the +2/+2 bonus on your turn. Brass Herald, 6 mana 2/2 Golem. When it comes into play, choose a creature type. Reveal the top 4 cards of your library. Put all creature cards of the chosen type revealed this way into your hand. And then the rest go at the bottom of your library. In addition, creatures of the chosen type get +1/+1. It costs a lot of mana. 6 mana is pretty heavy for a 2/2. And you're not guaranteed to get a creature that you chose in the top 4 cards that you reveal. There are nowadays, I think, much better cards for tribal decks. There's an artifact that only costs 3 that almost does the same thing, where you reveal the top. I think you only reveal the top 3 cards and you get to choose a creature out of it to put in your hand. Forgot what it's called though, but I know the artwork shows stained glass. But back in the day, this was a good tribal card to have alongside with Coat of Arms. Captain's Maneuver. For a red, a white, and X. The next X damage that would be dealt to target creature or player this turn is dealt to another target creature or player instead. Sisay discovered that the mirrored hull of the Weatherlight could be used as a defensive weapon. Nothing feels better than reflecting an opponent's damage back at their face. Cave of Kolos. It's the white-black pain land, and what's iconic about the Cave of Kolos, this is where the first Phyrexian portal was activated, where Urza and Mishra had found the Power Stones, and this is where Gix tempted Mishra into joining the Phyrexian cause. Seta Disciple for 1 blue. It's a Merfolk wizard, I believe. Pay red, target creature gets power +2 into end of turn. Pay green, tap it, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. The sea holds all that you need. You simply must know how to ask for it. The Seat of Sanctuary. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you have a red or green permanent, draw a card, then discard a card from your hand. If you control both a red and a green permanent, draw 2 cards and only discard 1. Sita Volver, 2 mana 1/1, with kicker cost of red and green. If you pay the red kicker cost, it comes to play with 2 +1/+1 counters and has first strike. If you pay the green kicker cost, it comes into play with a +1/+1 counter on it and has trample. In total, if you pay 5 mana, you get a 4/4 with first strike and trample. The kicker costs are pretty cheap, so I think Seed Evolver was pretty good. Coalition Flag. Coalition flag can only be put on a creature you control. Enchanted creature's type becomes flag bearer. If an opponent plays a spell or ability that could target a flag bearer in play, that player must choose at least one flag bearer as a target. So it's kind of like a taunting, a taunt spell that you put on a creature, and the opponent has to use their spell to target the creature that has the flag before they can target any of your other creatures. So that's an interesting and a unique ability that White had during that time. Hey, Sam Wilkinson, the GOAT. Bah. Welcome in, Sam. Thank you for joining. Special shout out to my friend Sam. Also, I got to do something real quick for you. Can't do it yet. Technical difficulties. I think I could do it through my phone, though. Boom, there you go. Congratulations, Sam. Coalition Honor Guard. You need the GOAT impression again? All right, here's your payment for being my newest mod. Bah! Don't let it go to your head. Coalition Honor Guard. 4 mana, 2/4. If an opponent plays a spell or ability that could target at least one flag bearer in play, that player chooses at least one flag bearer as a target. Giving little thought to their own defense, they carried the flag that united their army. Old World Micmac, hello. Thanks for coming in. Coastal Drake, 3 mana, 2/1 Drake with flying. Pay a blue and a colorless, tap it to return target Kavu to its owner's hand. When the Kavu emerged from their ancient nests, food chains long dormant became vibrant again. It's a pretty big Drake to be able to fit Kavu in its mouth. At this point, I think this should actually have been a dragon instead of a Drake, because the Kavu were pretty big, unless these are pygmy baby Kavu. Also, the card itself, other than the Flame Tongue Kavu, I don't remember people playing many Kavu back in the day, so the Drake didn't really do much. I've never seen this Drake actually played, but I do like the artwork. Old World Micmac says he misses the retro frame cards. I do as well. I liked the old style of the colored borders as opposed to the new style. Thanks for the support, Old World Micmac. Consume Strength. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Another target creature gets -2/-2 until end of turn. For black-green, as Moltoni's troops invaded Urborg, the decay of the swamp became a feast for the living. And we have saprolings feasting on this Phyrexian. Even the Phyrexian can turn into prey. 20 likes. I don't think I'll get that far with these streams. My Smash streams do get up to that level, but these streams do not. Chromat, a 5-color legendary creature. It's an illusion. If you pay a black and a white, you can destroy target creature blocking or blocked by Chromat. This will immediately destroy it so that other creature cannot deal damage back to Chromat. You can pay a blue or a red to give Chromat flying until end of turn. Play a black and a green to regenerate it. Red, white to give it +1/+1 until end of turn. Or green, blue to put him on top of its owner's library. He looks like a giant dragonfly centipede thing. He is an illusion. I do remember one player used him a lot, especially in Commander, just so he could get the 5 colors going on. Bloomburrow Squirrel coverage might get you there. I did think that I wanted to do like the the spoilers for Bloomburrow, but I don't. At the same time, I didn't want to because I wanted to save that just for the Bloomburrow set. Eventually, when I get to it, I know I have so many Magic expansions to go through, but I am very excited for the Bloomburrow set. I love animals, and the set's just 100% animals. The artwork is cool. It reminds me of The Adventures of Frog and Toad. Or it's got Fern Gully vibes. It's got Forest of Nim vibes. Once Upon a Forest. All those childhood treasures. Next up is Dead Ringers. Destroy 2 target non-black creatures unless either one is a color that the other isn't. They cannot be regenerated. Beautiful, isn't it, Crowed Crovax? They fought together and now they will die together. Costs too much and it's a sorcery. I don't like it. Too picky for what it does. Death Grasp, a black, a white, and X. Deal X damage to target creature or player. You gain X life. Yawgmoth's greatest joy came from watching one hero defeat another. Here, this is Yawgmoth's avatars are watching Urza and Gerard fight to the death. Here, Urza had grabbed Gerard and is draining his life. But Gerard gets the upper hand later on. Throwback. This whole stream is a throwback, Sam. But they don't make those like they used to. They don't make those movies. They don't make those animated shows like they used to. Death Mutation. Cost a lot. 8 mana. Destroy target non-black creature. It cannot be regenerated. Put X 1/1 Saproling tokens into play where X is its converted mana cost. Here, a Phyrexian Dreadnought or Juggernaut or something is converting this Tree Folk into Saprolings. Dega Disciple for 1 white. Pay a black, tap it. Target creature gets power -2 into end of turn. Pay a red, tap it. Target creature gets power +2 into end of turn. There is no true equity of power. There is only more or less. There is no true equity of power. There is only more and less. That doesn't make any sense. I gotta think about it to make sense. Dega Sanctuary. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control a black or red permanent, you gain 2 life. If you control both, gain 4 life instead. It's just an altar with melted candles. And at this altar is Dega Volver. 2 mana, 1/1 Volver that has black and red in its kicker cost. If you paid the black kicker cost, it gets the 2+1/+1 counters with pay 3 life, regenerate it. If you paid the red, it gets a +1/+1 counter with first strike. So if you pay all of it, it's 5 mana total for a 4/4 first striker. Pay 3 life, regenerate. That's pretty good. That's the Don Bluth effect. Oh, they made All Dogs Go to Heaven, correct? That would have to be my favorite one, Sam. And it's a sad one, but it's my favorite one. Desolation Angel, 5 mana angel, 5/4 flying. It has a kicker, a double white. If you pay the kicker cost, when it comes into play, destroy. No. When Desolation Angel comes into play, destroy all lands you control. If you paid the kicker cost, destroy all lands instead. So if you don't want to lose your lands, you have to pay the kicker cost, which in total is 7 mana total. You'd have to be playing black-white at least. If you don't pay the kicker cost, you get 5 mana for a 5/4 flying, but then all your lands are destroyed. One of my favorite lines in All Dogs to Go to Heaven is, "It's the Grand Chiha's birthday." The horse race when they're betting on it. And I like the alligator. "Let's make music together." I'm getting off track here. I need to do like a movie, an animated movie, cartoon, or all kinds of movies and stuff reviews. I need to add that to the channel. Next up is Desolation Giant, 4 mana 3/3. When Desolation Giant comes into play, destroy all other creatures you control. If you pay the kicker cost, destroy all other creatures instead. So you have to pay 6 mana total for a 3/3 giant that destroys all other creatures on the battlefield. Otherwise, you'll destroy your own. Diversionary Tactics. 4 mana enchantment. Tap 2 untap creatures you control. Tap target creature. It's the oldest trick in the book, said Guff. I ought to know. I wrote it. Here it shows Bolivar and Commodore Guff, I guess, tricking a Phyrexian as they're fighting it. Divine Light for 1 white. Prevent all damage that will be dealt this turn to creatures you control. Phyrexia is an unforgivable place, and I am an angry lord in an unforgiving mood. Lord Windgrace, as pictured. Sam finished the line. Let's make music together. Oh, for the right key. Let's make sweet harmony. I don't want to lose subs with my voice. Dodecapod. 4 mana, 3/3 artifact. What is it, a golem? I would have never guessed it was a golem. I figured it was just like an artifact. Anyway, if a spell or ability an opponent controls causes you to discard Dodecapod from your hand, put it into play with 2+1/+1 counters instead of putting it into your graveyard. This was definitely counter against discard effects. It looks pretty cool. Dragon Arch, 5 mana artifact. Pay 2, tap it, put a multicolored creature from your hand into play. You could cheat out any of the Elder Dragons. You could cheat out Sliver Queen. You could cheat out Chromat. As long as a creature had more than one color on it, you could cheat it out with the Dragon Arch. Thank you, Sam, for the vote of confidence. I nailed it. I should be a voice actor. In their hunger for their arch's power, mages often forget that it only makes dragons easier to summon. It does not make them easier to control. Dwarven Landslide for 4. Destroy target land. If you pay the kicker cost, where you have to pay 3 and sacrifice one of your lands to destroy another target land. 7 mana and you sacrifice land to destroy 2. Cost too much in my opinion. Dwarven Patrol. 3 mana for a 4/2 dwarf. They do not untap during your untap step. If you play a non-red spell, you can untap them. Dwarves never worry about who watches their backs. It's probably one of the largest dwarves I've seen as far as their power and toughness. Ebony Treefolk. I guess he has a Phyrexian in its clutches. A black-green creature, and you pay a black or green to give it +1/+1 until end of turn. Its roots are equally happy to drink the water of a clear stream or the oily blood of a Phyrexian warrior. I like the artwork. Currently my favorite creature in the set. Emblazoned Golem. 2 mana, 1/2, kicker of X. You can only spend colored mana on the X kicker cost. No more than 1 mana of each color may be spent in this way, so at the most you can spend 5 as long as it's 1 of each. If you pay the kicker cost, Emblazoned Golem comes into play with X +1/+1 counters. So for 7 mana total, as long as it's 1 mana of each color, or for 5, you'll get a 6/7. Not worth it. Enlistment Officer. 4 mana, 2/3 soldier with first strike. When it comes into play, reveal the top 4 cards of your library. Put all soldier cards revealed in this way into your hand and the rest on the bottom. Decent for soldier decks. Evasive Action. Counter target spell unless its controller pays 1 for each basic land type among lands you control. Effective use of terrain is a lesson good commanders learn quickly. Here it shows the Weatherlight going under a bridge, and they cannot be targeted by the laser cannons of these Phyrexian airships. False Dawn. It's a sorcery. Colored mana symbols on all permanents you control and on all cards that you own that aren't in play become white mana until end of turn, and you get to draw a card. So this lets you pay any of your spells as though they were white, but just for 1 turn. I don't really see why you would need to do this unless you really needed to cast certain spells and all you had access to was white mana. Fervent Charge. A black, a red, a white, and a colorless. Whenever a creature you control attacks, it gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Krovax was nearly buried beneath the weight of his opponents. So while Gerard and Urza were fighting to the death in Phyrexia, Moltani had summoned the Tree Folk, the Saprolings, and the Kavu to attack Krovax at the stronghold. And Krovax was taking on all of them, but he had to retreat. Split cards make a return in the set. Fire and Ice. If you play the fire side, you get to divide 2 damage as you choose among any number of targets. If you play the ice side, you get to tap a target permanent and draw a card. Flowstone Charger. 2 red and a white. It's a beast. It's a 2/5. When it attacks, it gets +3 power, but -3 toughness until end of turn, making it a 5/2. So it pretty much reverses its power and toughness. A Mane of Flowstone and a Mine of Fury. Foul Presence. I don't know what's foul about this. It looks like this Metatron soldier is singing opera in the artwork. Enchanted creature gets -1/-1 and has tap it. Target creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn. Phyrexians have one word that means both evolution and pain. The artwork is very misleading on the card. It does look like he's going, oh! I don't see anything foul about it. Maybe it sounds foul. Fungal Shambler. 6/4 beast. It's a fungus beast. With trample. Black, blue, and green. Whenever Fungal Shambler deals damage to an opponent, you get to draw a card, and that opponent must discard a card from their hand. It has trample, so I think it's worth the 7 mana cost. If you have mana ramp or ways to get it out quicker, it just gives you good card advantage while causing your opponent to potentially ditch threats. Gaia's Balance is an additional cost to cast. As additional cost to play Gaia's Balance, you must sacrifice 5 of your lands. Search your library for a land of each basic land type and put them into play. Then shuffle your library. This will ensure that you have 1 land of each type out on the field, but you have to have 5 lands out already in order to cast it. Gaia's Skyfolk, 2/2 Elf Merfolk with flying. Pretty good. 2 mana, 2/2 flying, no drawbacks is decent. The Grace of the Forest and the Spirit of the Sea. Gerard gets his own card. Gerard Capuchin, 5 mana, 3/4. At the beginning of your upkeep, gain 1 life for each card in target opponent's hand. And you can pay 4 to tap target creature. You can only use this ability if Gerard is attacking. I like his first ability better. At the beginning of your upkeep, gain 1 life for each card in target opponent's hand. I would just leave him behind. I would never really let him battle. But there's one of our heroes. What artwork did you like? The Gaia's Skyfolk? Sam? Gaia's Skyfolk. I figured something that just told me that that was your style. Next card is Gerard's Verdict, a white and a black. Target player discards 2 cards from their hand. You gain 3 life for each land that they discard in this way. A Heart of Light and a Soul of Darkness cannot coexist. Here, Urza stabs Krovax in the heart with one of the Phyrexian axes that he had acquired during his battle with Urza, killing the vampire Phyrexian. Gladenar, 6 mana, 4/4. Whenever a player plays a blue spell, Gladenar gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Long thought merely a legend, the appearance of the Gnar was seen by the defenders as a sign of good luck. Again, just like with the Bognar, even though the Bognar is weaker, Gladenar is stronger, so Gladenar is better than the Bognar. It does cost 6 mana to cast, and it'll be a 6/6 if the opponent plays a blue spell. But blue is the most common color to play on your opponent's turn. Goblin Legionnaire, 2/2 for a red and a white. You can pay a red and sacrifice it to deal 2 damage to any target. You can pay a white and sacrifice it to prevent 2 damage dealt to any target. Goblins join the army. Goblin Ringleader. It's a 2/2 goblin with haste that costs 4. When it comes into play, reveal the top 4 cards of your deck. Put all goblin cards revealed in this way into your hand and the rest on the bottom. This guy's telling his friends to come here for, I don't know what he sees, but they're probably up to no good. Goblin Trenches. This gives me Lord of the Rings vibes. They kind of look more like orcs than goblins. A red, a white, and a colorless. It's enchantment. Pay 2. Sacrifice a land to put 2 1/1 red-white goblin tokens into play. The ground rose and formed into thousands of tiny warriors. This fight was far from over. I like Goblin Trenches better. Grave Defiler. 4 mana 2/1 zombie with regeneration of a black and a colorless. When they come into play, you get to reveal the top 4 cards of your deck. Put all zombies revealed in this way into your hand and the rest on the bottom. Each color got a version of this where you reveal the top 4 cards, and if they share the corresponding creature type, you get to put them in your hand. Guided Passage, a sorcery for a blue, a red, and a green. Reveal all the cards in your library. An opponent gets to choose a creature, a land, a non-creature, and a non-land card. You get to put the chosen cards into your hand, then shuffle your library. That's a cool card. I know of any other card that you have to reveal your entire library to the opponent when you cast it. I know Black especially is notorious for having cards that search your opponent's library and kind of erase them from the game. So this one's very unique. I've never seen it play. I do own it, but I've never put it in any of my decks. But it would be interesting to see played. Haunted Angel. 3 mana for a 3/3 angel with flying. When Haunted Angel is put into a graveyard from play, remove it from the game, and each other player gets a 3/3 black angel token with flying. I don't think it's worth it. 3 mana for a 3/3 flying is good, but the drawback is too risky, especially in a group game. If your angel dies, all the other players get the same, a 3/3 angel. Helionaut, 3 mana 1/2 with flying. Pay a colorless and tap them to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Hope kept the defenders aloft, but only courage kept them in the fight. This guy looks like a discount version of Thor. Ice Cave. Whenever a player plays a spell, any other player may pay that spell's mana cost. If they do, that spell is countered. This works for everybody, so I would not recommend using it. Even the oppressive cold of the cave could not temper Aladamri's ire. Illuminate, a red and X. It has a kicker of either red or blue It deals X damage to target creature. If you paid the red kicker cost, it deals X damage to the creature's controller. If you paid the blue kicker cost, you get to draw X cards. Great value Thor. Yep. You can find him at your local Walmart if the stockers decide to stock it. Illuminate is very mana heavy, so you would almost always have to build your deck around lots of mana sources to get the most out of this card. Another split card, Illusion and Reality. If you cast Illusion, target spell or permanent becomes the color of your choice until end of turn. If you cast Reality, you get to destroy target artifact. This guy just broke a bunch of wooden planks in half. Index. For 1 blue, look at the top 5 cards of your library. Put them back in any order. Let's see. Mercadia, Mercenary, Merfolk. You know I really need a better filing system. Artwork shows Commodore Guff. He pretty much is the scribe of the universe, and he documents everything that he sees. In the story, he had documented that Yawgmoth wins the fight, but his planeswalker friend Bolivar told him to have hope and that he shouldn't document the future. He should only document the present, since the future could always change. Jaded Response. For 2 mana, counter target spell if it shares a color with a creature you control. Calm down, everyone. It's nothing we haven't seen before. Captain Sisay holds a resolve. We see Karn, Tarangarth, and Orym. I don't know what they're looking at in shock, but Sisay is not amused. Jilt. Return target creature to its owner's hand. If you pay the kicker cost, Jilt deals 2 damage to another target creature. It costs 2 and a kicker of red. You're not my Hannah, Gerard to Yawgmoth. This is when I talked about Gerard winning the fight to the death. Yawgmoth rewarded him with a Phyrexian copy of Hannah, but Gerard saw through the disguise and he stabbed the false clone of the love of his life. And this is when he knew that Yawgmoth could not bring back his love, and he snapped back into his senses and became our hero once again. Jungle Barrier, a 2/6 plant wall for a blue, a green, and 2. It cannot attack because it is a wall, so it has defender. Whenever it comes into play, draw a card. A massive pull of mana caused all of Dominaria to pause. Molteni had transplanted Yavimaya to Urborg's Edge. Kavu Glider for 3. It's a 2/1 Kavu. Pay a white, it gets +1 toughness until end of turn. Pay a blue, it gains flying until end of turn. Almost looks like a leapfrog. Kavu Howler. 6 mana, 4/5. When Kavu Howler comes into play, reveal the top 4 cards of your library. Put all Kavu cards revealed in this way into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library. Better love story than Twilight, says Sam. Sam is 100% correct. If Magic the Gathering ever made a movie or an animated series, which I think it would probably be better as an animated series, I would want them to maybe start with the Brothers' War and then do the Phyrexian invasion as the first storyline. Up until this point, like, this storyline has been my favorite, starting from Tempest, following through the Urza block to up to this block. Elden Ring is getting a movie or an animated series. I would love to see my favorite card game animated. I know Ark got an animated series, my favorite video game ever. It wasn't the best. It was a little disappointing, but it still served its purpose. Overall, I was satisfied with the product. Animated, cool. I look forward to its release. Next card is Kavu Mauler, 6 mana, 4/4 Kavu with trample. When it attacks, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each other attacking Kavu. To the Kavu, all Phyrexians are merely crunchy snacks. Last Caress. Target player loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Draw a card. Even though Krovax was now a Phyrexian, his mortal mind still lamented at his guardian angel, who he romanced, and he would hallucinate seeing visions of Selenia, and this is where, after he is killed, his spirit is reunited with her in the afterlife. Last Stand. Target opponent loses 2 life for each swamp you control. Last Stand deals damage equal to the number of mountains you control to target creature. Put a 1/1 sapling token into play for each forest you control. Gain 2 life for each plains you control. Draw a card for each island you control. Then discard that many cards from your hand. Man, that's a lot of text for this card. But here it shows the Metatron army, the elves, the Minotaurs, and zombies fighting against Phyrexians while the Yawgmoth Death Cloud looms up in the sky. Lay of the Land. Search your library for a basic land, reveal it, and put it into your hand, then shuffle your library for only 1 green. Victory favors neither the righteous nor the wicked. It favors the prepared. Here it shows the Lord of the Elves, Eladamri, Grizzlegom, the Minotaur General, and Orym, the Samite. No, this is Lin Civi, not Orym, excuse me, the Rebel Leader, as they look to plot the best way to the stronghold to attack it once again. The Legacy Weapon. This is the Weatherlight and all the artifacts combined to form this powerful weapon of destruction. For 7 mana, pay 1 mana of each color to remove target permanent from the game. It could remove lands, it could remove planeswalkers, it could remove creatures. My cat just crashed into the blinds. If Legacy Weapon would be put into a graveyard from anywhere, you can reveal it and shuffle it into its library instead. So even if it's in your deck, if your opponent causes you to discard it or take it from the top of your deck into your graveyard, it'll automatically get shuffled back into your deck. Life and Death as a split card. If you cast Life until end of turn, all lands you control are 1/1 creatures that are still lands. If you cast the Death side, you get to return a creature card from your graveyard to play. You lose life equal to its converted mana cost. That's good, though. 2 mana Graveyard Revival is really good. Lightning Angel. This card saw a lot of tournament play when she was first released. Cost a red, a white, a blue, and a colorless. She's a 3/4 with flying, haste, and vigilance. And the artwork is cool because it just shows an angel grasping a lightning bolt from the sky. Living Airship. 4 mana for a 2/3 flying. Pay a green and 2. Regenerate Living Airship. The ship has a crew of 3. The pilot, the gunner, and the ship itself. Being made from bits of the Weather Seed, the ships are pretty much flying plants. You can see the leaves as the wings and the bark as the armor on the skyship. Llanowar Dead. 2/2 zombie elf for a green and a black. Tap it to add 1 black mana to your mana pool. Just as the leaves fall from the branches of a living tree, so do too the dead leave the elf army. I like the background. Llanowar Wastes. It's the black-green pain land. Manacles of Decay. Enchanted creature can't attack. Pay a black, enchanted creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn. Pay a red, enchanted creature can't block this turn. Definitely a crippling effect that you put on an opponent's creature. Martyr's Tomb. 4 mana enchantment. It's a black and white card. Pay 2 life. Prevent the next 1 damage that we dealt to target creature this turn. It's a bit heavy. Honor the brave who fought. Honor the dead who fell. Honor the world they saved. The memorial inscription. And this was the memorial that was built after the Phyrexian War was over. Mask of Intolerance. For 2, at the beginning of each player's upkeep, if there are 4 or more basic land type among lands that that player controls, Mask of Intolerance deals 3 damage to him or her. So this punishes players for having more than 4 colors. Or 4 colors or more for basic lands. Mind Extraction. For 3, as additional cost to play, sacrifice a creature. Target player reveals his or her hand and discards all cards of each of the sacrificed creature's colors from it. So if you sacrifice a 5 mana creature, they're going to discard all the cards in their hand that are colored. They get to keep their lands and artifacts. So artwork shows Krovax digging his claws into, I guess, one of his prisoners' minds, and he is a vampire and he's draining them of their thoughts and souls. Minotaur Illusionist. For 5, pay a blue and a colorless. They can't be the target of spells or abilities this turn. Pay a red, sacrifice it. It deals damage equal to its power to target creature. Not the best. Minotaur Tactician. For 4 mana for a 1/1 with haste. If you have a white creature, he gets +1/+1. If you have a blue creature, he also gets +1/+1. So if you have both a white and a blue creature out, he is a 3/3 with haste for 4. You're better off just paying the basic Minotaur 3/3 for 4 with haste. You don't have to worry about all this text here if you use that one. Mournful Zombie. 3 mana for a 2/1 zombie. Pay a white and tap it. Target player gains 1 life. You could even target your opponent with it if you wanted to. Treated with a powerful mix of herbs and potions, its wrappings have a remarkable preservative effect, even for the living. Who knew a zombie could be a good doctor? Mystic Snake. 2 mana or 4 mana, 2/2 snake. You can play it anytime. You can play an instant, and when it comes into play, counter target spell. So it's a counter spell and a 2/2 snake all in one. Its fangs are in your flesh before its hiss leaves your ears. I love my snakes, so Mystic Snake gets favorite card of the set so far. And this card saw a lot of tournament play as well. Necro Disciple for 1 black. Pay a green and tap it to add 1 mana of any color. Pay a white and tap to prevent 1 damage that would be dealt to any target this turn. The darkness merely hides the light. Necro Sanctuary. It looks like a graveyard, and this guy's letting us in. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control a green or white permanent, target player loses 1 life. If you control both, they lose 3 life instead. It's probably my favorite of the sanctuaries. And the Necrovolver, 3 mana for a 2/2 Volver. I don't even know what a Volver is. But at this point, it doesn't really matter. This guy's got a kicker cost of green and white. If you pay the green, he gets +2/+2 and trample. If you pay a white, he gets +1/+1. And whenever he deals damage, you gain that much life. In total, if you pay 6, he is a 5/5 with trample and lifelink. Night and Day as a split card. For night, target creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn. For day, creatures target player controls get +1/+1 until end of turn. So day seems to be better than night. Order and Chaos, another split card. Remove target attack creature from the game if you cast Order, or creatures can't block this turn with Chaos. Orum's Thunder. If you destroy target artifact or enchantment, if you pay the kicker cost, Orum's Thunder deals damage equal to the artifact or enchantment's converted mana cost to target creature. Too bad I can't hit the player. I think it would be a lot better. Overgrown Estate. Black, green, white. Enchantment. Sacrifice a land to gain 3 life. The decay of Krovax's ancestral home matched the state of his soul. Penumbra Bobcat. 3 mana, 2/1 cat. Whenever Penumbra Bobcat dies, put a 2/1 black cat token onto the battlefield. This cat has 2 lives and it's hunting for more. In the background, you can see the dark spirit that's following it. Penumbra Kavu, 5 mana, 3/3. It has the same thing as the Bobcat does. When the Kavu dies, you get a copy of it as a 3/3 black creature token. These Kavu are so stubborn they refuse to die, and you can see its spirit in the background here. Same stance as it is here. And the biggest Penumbra creature, Penumbra Worm. 6/6 trample. When it dies, you get a 6/6 worm token with trample, and you can see its dark shadow along this cave wall. Pernicious Deed. A green, a black, and a colors. Pay X, sacrifice Pernicious Deed, destroy target or destroy each artifact, creature, and enchantment with converted mana cost X or less. Yawgmoth, Freyalise whispered as she set the bomb, now you will pay for your treachery. Freyalise was among the survivors of the 9 Titans who succeeded in detonating the bombs in the spheres of Phyrexia. Phyrexian Arena. At the beginning of your upkeep, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. An audience of 1 with the malice of thousands. This is where Gerard decapitates Urza with the enchanted sword. Phyrexian Gargantua. 6 mana, 4/4. When it comes into play, draw 2 cards and lose 2 life. Other Phyrexians have nightmares about the Gargantua. What I'm having nightmares about is it has such a big, bulky upper body with all these bulldozer claws, but its legs look like it can't really support it. It's got such a tiny lower body compared to its upper body. Phyrexian Rager, 3 mana, 2/2, and Phyrexian Rager comes into play, draw a card, and lose 1 life. It takes no prisoners, but it keeps the choicest bits for Phyrexia. Like the artwork here, it's a cool combination of metal, flesh, and machine. And it has this Metatron in its grasp. And I think he's probably going to die. Planar Despair. For 5, all creatures get -1/-1 until end of turn for each basic land type among lands that you control. So at most, they can get -5/-5. Of Dominaria recoiled as Yawgmoth and his retainers arrived. I don't like these guys. Remind me of what were the little guys in Halo called? I forgot their names. They're literally the first enemy you fight in Halo. Because you had the elite. It wasn't the elite. The elites are like what the species, what the Arbiter was. Were they just called grunts? I think they were just called grunts. That's what the artwork reminds me of. Grunts from Halo. Power Stone Minefield. Whenever a creature attacks or blocks, Power Stone Minefield deals 2 damage to it. Anything with 2 toughness or less is not going to survive combat. We have fought this far and lost too much. We will not turn back. Grizzlegom. Prophetic Bolt. For 5, deal 4 damage to target creature or player. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. Put 1 in your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library. Here's Bolivar blasting a Phyrexian to bits. Putrid Warrior. A soldier zombie. Whenever it deals damage, you get to choose one. Each player loses a life or each player gains a life. I do not like it, said Grizzlegom, but I will take every soldier I can get. Here we have soldiers standing. They're standing next to a zombie, and I think this soldier's a little nervous. She's keeping an eye on this zombie so that it doesn't feast on her flesh. Quagmire Druid. 3 mana for a 2/2 zombie druid. Pay green and tap it to sacrifice a creature to destroy target enchantment. Here we see it reaching for this bird, because I assume it wants to eat it. As the druids had devoted their lives to preserving Dominaria, so did they devote their deaths. Quicksilver Dagger. Enchant creature has tapped this creature to deal 1 damage to target player. You draw a card. That's pretty good. I knew this card existed, but I forgot about the card draw ability. The dwarves call their Quicksilver techniques improvisational weaponsmithing. Such large words for such small-statured folk. Racket Disciple. It's a Minotaur wizard, I think. Yes. For 1 red. Pay a white, tap it to prevent 1 damage dealt to any target. Pay a blue, target creature gains flying until end of turn. The strong can also be subtle. The Raka Sanctuary. If you control a white or blue permanent, deal 1 damage to target creature. If you control both, you get to deal 3 damage to a creature instead. Raka Volver. 3 mana, 2/2. Kicker of white and blue. If you paid the white, it gets +2/+2 and lifelink. Paid the blue, it gets +1/+1 and flying. In total, if you pay 6, you get a 5/5 with flying and lifelink. It's decent. Razorfin Hunter, the Merfolk Goblin. Definitely not like the Merfolk Elves. Razorfin Hunter deals 1 damage to target creature or player if you tap it to use this ability. No one knew if they'd been lurking under the sea all along or if they'd been created by the Phyrexian overlay. Usually a creature with this pinging ability that taps to deal 1 damage to any target costs 3 mana or more. So the Razorfin Hunter is probably the quickest ones that can do that. I know there's a goblin that only costs 1 red where he taps to do 1 damage to target player, but he cannot target creatures. Reef Shaman. It's a merfolk for a blue. Tap it. Target land becomes the basic land type of your choice until end of turn. With 1 gesture, she can render 1,000 years of navigational charts obsolete and turn a forest into an island. Savage Gorilla. This looks more like an orangutan than a gorilla. 5 mana, 3/3. Pay a black and a blue. Tap it. Sacrifice the Savage Gorilla. Target creature gets -3/-3 until end of turn. Draw a card. These omnivorous gorillas have no qualms about a diet composed of equal part fruit and Phyrexians. Look like he's got to tear off this Phyrexian's head and eat it. Shield of Duty and Reason. Enchant a creature has protection from green and blue. The duty to defend, the reason to survive. This is kind of a callback to the Mask of Law and Grace from Urza's Destiny. This gives the other corresponding protection. Shimmering Mirage. Target land type becomes a basic land type of your choice until end of turn. Draw a card. Oh, is that all you need? Why didn't you just say so? Quote from the Reef Shaman. Sam, I'm glad you agree with me. I think the artist needs to go back to, needs to watch some Animal Planet or some National Geographic and get their primates in order. Shivan Reef. It's the red-blue pain land. You got water in the background and lava up front. Smash. Pay 3, destroy target artifact, draw a card. They're ugly and they're in my way. This is Tarngarth smashing through some stone soldiers. And I'm going to be playing Super Smash Bros. Tonight. Soul Link. Whenever enchanted creature deals or is dealt damage, you gain that much life. They danced like puppets to a tune only Yawgmoth could hear. Here, Gerard was injured from a sword that Urza had struck him with at the beginning of the fight. Spectral Lynx. 2-mana, 2/1 cat with protection from green, and it has regeneration of a black. A shadowy version of its corporeal cousin, this lynx hunts souls, not meal. This, I think, did see a lot of tournament play too. Green was probably one of the most popular colors to use back in the day. It was just so stompy and fast. And then the fact that it has regeneration too makes it harder to kill. Next is the Spirit Monger. Spirit Monger is a 6/6 for 5, black, green, and 3. When Spirit Monger deals damage to a creature, put a +1/+1 counter on it. It has regeneration, and for a green, it becomes the color of your choice until the end of the turn. Spirit Monger is a special card because it was created by the community. Wizards did a week-by-week voting process on the community got to design this card. They got to choose which artwork was best for it. They got to choose, I think, its colors, its power and toughness. They got to choose its abilities. Like I said, it was a vote-by-vote process. I wish Wizards still did things like this. I think because of that, I'm going to choose Spirit Monger now to be my favorite card from the set. Squeeze Embrace. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2. When enchanted creature dies, return it to its owner's hand. And Squee is hugging Sisay's arms after he was rescued from the clutches of Krovax and Urtai. Squeeze Revenge. For 3, it's a blue and a red. 1. Choose a number, flip a coin that many times until you lose the flip, whichever comes first. If you win all the flips, draw 2 cards for each flip. So it's kind of a gamble, but in the artwork, Squee accidentally kills Urtai with he presses a bunch of controls on Urtai's machine, causing like a short circuit to happen, and it ends up frying Urtai, as we see here. Next page. Standard Bearer. It's a flag bearer for 2. If an opponent plays a spell or ability that could target a flag bearer, that player must target at least 1 flag bearer. The standard was a rallying point for the army and a target for the enemy. I don't know how they decided who holds the flag. Strength of Night. 3 mana. Creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. If you pay the kicker cost, zombies you control get an additional +2/+2. I see the zombies in the background. At first I was like, where are the zombies or in the artwork? All I see is a close-up of a wolf pack. But the zombies are in the background. Suffocating Blast. Counter target spell and Suffocating Blast does 3 damage to target creature. A good control spell for blue and red. I think this mage has 3 eyes. She has her 3rd eye open up here. Suppress. Target player removes all cards in his or her hand from the game face down. At the end of that player's next turn, that player gets those cards back in their hand. During the fight, Urza had used some of his powers to force Gerard into a labyrinth. Sam likes that card because it's got wolves on it. Sam likes her wolves. Next is Sylvan Messenger. He's riding atop a Kavu. 2/2 elf with trample. Has the ability that it searches the top 4 cards of your library, and every elf that you reveal goes into your hand. Good for elves. Symbiotic Deployment. 3 mana enchantment. I don't think I've ever seen this card before. It's got Aladamri, the elf commander, and a bunch of elves in the background in the shadows. Skip your draw step means you're never going to draw a card at the beginning of your turn. Pay a colorless. Tap 2 untapped creatures you control to draw a card. If at any point you run out of creatures, then you're never going to be able to draw a card as long as you have this enchantment. So this card is a gamble to use. You know your orders. I know your hearts. Now the stronghold will know defeat. Tarngarth's Glare. For 1 red, look at the top 3 cards of target opponent's library, then put them back in any order. That player looks at the top 3 cards of your library and puts them back in any order. I've seen the artwork for this card because it's funny as hell. Tarngarth is trying to use a telescope to look at the land below him, but Squee gets in his way, and Tarngarth is pissed. You can see it in his face. I love the comedy between these two. Temporal Spring. For a blue, a green, and a colorless, put target permanent on top of its owner's library. 1 splash of the spring's water knocks you clear into last week. And the water is sending this Phyrexian somewhere. Tidal Courier. 4 mana for a 1/2 merfolk. When Tidal Courier comes into play, reveal the top 4 cards of your library. Put all merfolk cards revealed in this way in your hand and the rest on the bottom. And if you pay 4, he gains flying until end of turn. Why he gains flying, even though he's a fish? I guess he jumps out of the water really fast. Tranquil Path. Destroy all enchantments. Draw a card for 5. Freyalise bought the planeswalkers the time they needed by clearing a path through the misshapen hell of Phyrexia. Tundra Kavu. This is another Kavu that reminds me of Tremors 2. 3 mana for a 2/2. Tap it. Target land becomes a plains or an island until end of turn. A cross between a jaguar and an armadillo. The artwork is amazing. I can just literally see this creature galloping across the field. Unnatural Selection. Enchantment for 2. Pay a colorless. Choose a creature type other than wall. Target creature's type becomes that type until end of turn. What nature makes, magic can modify. And it's showing, I assume, an octopus turning into a Kavu. Urborg Elf. 2 mana for a 1/1 elf. Tap it for a green, a blue, or a black. The elves of Urborg are as deadly and capricious as the swamp itself. Just a mana-making elf for those 3 colors. Urborg Uprising. For 5. Return up to 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. Draw a card. In Urborg, few things are less permanent than death. And these soldiers who died, their spirits are going to continue the fight, even though they look weird. Yeah, I'll go back to the unnatural selection card. I think this is an octopus because these are tentacles. And the tentacles are coming out of the water and they're turning into one of the Kavus. Magic does have octopus, and they have a like anthropomorphic octopus race known as the cephalids. Vindicate. Destroy target permanent. You can destroy any card with this card. Don't mourn for me. This is my destiny. Here, this is where the Weatherlight attempts to blast Yawgmoth, and the collision ends up ensuing Yawgmoth's death. Bodalian Mystic, 2-mana 1/1 Merfolk. Tap it, target instant or sorcery spell becomes a color of your choice until end of turn. Sometimes when I look at the ocean, I could swear it changes colors. Whirlpool Drake, 4-mana 2/2 flying. When Whirlpool Drake comes into play, shuffle the cards from your hand back into your library, then draw that many cards. When Whirlpool Drake dies, shuffle the cards from your hand into your library, then draw that many cards. Probably one of the most better Drakes in Magic. Getting a new hand of cards is always good because it opens new possibilities. Maybe you need a certain card against your opponent, and the Whirlpool Drake might land you that. Whirlpool Rider, 2-mana 1/1 Merfolk. When he comes into play, shuffle the cards from your hand into your library, then draw that many cards. Where the wind meets the water, change is inevitable. The Drake is better because it can happen twice instead of just once. Whirlpool Warrior, 3-mana 2/2 Merfolk. It does the same thing where you shuffle cards from your hand back into your deck and draw new ones. You can pay a red to sacrifice her. Each player has to shuffle the cards from their library and draw that many cards. But I think that's a bit risky. Wild Research. 3-mana enchantment. Pay a white in a color. Search your library for enchantment and reveal it. Put it into your hand. Then discard a card at random from... If you pay blue, search your library for an instant and do the same. Because you have to discard a card at random afterwards, it comes with quite a risk. Last page, Yavimaya Coast. It's the blue-green Painland. We see the coast of the forest and the massive tree trunks that the trees get the nutrients from the ocean. And the last card, Yavamaya's Embrace. It costs a whopping 8 mana, but you steal the opponent's creature, and you boost that creature by 2, giving it trample as well. In the artwork, it shows a soldier. He got caught up by this tree, and he's being used as a puppet to fight his comrades. You can see the fear in his face that he doesn't know what the heck's going on, or he's got the vines in his brain and he's not coherent. Oh, sorry. I thought that was the last card. Zombie Boa, 5 mana for a zombie snake. It's a giant undead boa, Resident Evil vibes. It's about to eat this goblin. Pay a black and or colorless, choose a color. Whenever Zombie Boa becomes blocked by a creature of the chosen color, destroy that creature. You can only play this ability during your turn as a sorcery. It doesn't need to feed, but it still hungers. Spiritmonger is still my favorite card in the set. Mainly because it has the history behind it, as it was the create a card special that Wizards had. But this ends the apocalypse, and the invasion block is now complete. Next time we do a Magic stream, it will create a new story. It will still take place in the plane of Dominaria, just on an entirely different continent with an entirely new cast of characters. And that will be known as the Odyssey block. So what cards did you like out of the set? If you played Magic during when Apocalypse was brand new, what cards were your favorite, or which ones are your favorite to this day? Let me know in the comment section below. Thank you for keeping me company, Old World Micmac and Sam. Congratulations again for earning your blue wrench. I will catch you all later. And the next Magic stream will be Sunday. Or Saturday. No, Saturday. Saturday will be the next Magic stream, 1 week from tonight. Have a good day, everybody. Have a good night. Have a good weekend. Thanks again for watching. And keep the magic alive.